Hey, as Christians, we're supposed to tell other people about Christ, and yet sometimes that can be intimidating. Maybe when we were first saved, we did, but maybe now it's gotten harder, or maybe we just, aren't doing it, and for whatever reason. But today we'd like to give you some tips on some things you can do to just share your faith with other people in an incredibly natural way. Hey, I'm Mitch, and this is my son,
Ben?
Yep. And we're with Keeping the Vows and all about helping people to discover and maintain a Christ-like marriage. Last night we went out to eat with Ben, and my wife Kim and I and Ben, we went out to eat. And as we sat down, I asked the waitress, I said, "How's your day?" And she said, "Oh, great. I just got in a different apartment and I spent $300 on my furnishings, and I've been decorating my house and all that." And then I want to shift over to Ben and let him talk and tell what happened last night throughout the meal then.
When she had brought us our food, she had asked if there's anything else that she could get for us, and I said, no, but I said, there's something I'd like to do for you. And I said, I'm a Christian, and I just feel like God's asking me if you need prayer for anything. And she started crying, and I said, well, sit down and tell us about it. And so she talked a little bit about it, and I said, well, can I pray for you right now? I just feel like God's asking me to pray with you right now. And so she did sit with us, and we were able to pray with her, and she thanked us multiple times and gave us a hug, and it was just a really neat God moment to experience.
Yeah, and when she cried, I mean, the tears ran clear down her cheek. She didn't just tear up a little bit, but she actually cried a lot. And sat down beside Ben. And then when the meal was over, one thing I want to tell you people is, if people especially know you're Christians, if you come from church and you're all dressed up or something like that, I know people that work in the food industry, and they said Christians just don't tip. Mm-hmm. Man, tip, especially if you witness to somebody, tip. So our bill was like $45, and I gave her a $20 cash tip. And after everything was done and we got ready to leave, she came up and she bent down and she hugged Ben and she hugged me. Kim was in the booth where she couldn't reach her, but she actually hugged both of us. Mm-hmm. And so if you're going to make a statement for Jesus, for crying out loud, leave a big tip. I mean, let them know that your heart's really there, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Really neat God moment. We were able to, when you step out in faith and you're obedient to what God has for you, it was neat to be a part of that.
And Ben does that a lot, and it's something that I admire. And Ben's our son. He's going to soon 36 here.
Yep. And
single, never married, but it's just not uncommon for him to look at the waitress and say, "Can I pray for you?" And I've never seen anything negative happen when you do that, ever. Mm-hmm. Ever. Sometimes, every once in a while, somebody will say, "No, there's nothing really."
Yeah.
But virtually everybody goes, "Oh, wow, thank you."
Yep. It's been really neat.
Yeah, it is good. So I want to read from 1 Corinthians in chapter 3, starting with verse 5. And Paul says this. He says, "After all, what is Apollos and what is Paul? Only servants through who you came to believe, as the Lord has assigned to each his task. I planted the seed, Apollos watered it, but God made it grow. So neither he who plants nor he who waters is anything, but only God who makes things grow. The man who plants and the man who waters have one purpose, and each will be rewarded according to his own labor. For we are God's fellow workers. You are God's field." Amazing how God uses us. We're his servants. Mm-hmm. And so we don't ever lead anyone to Christ. So it takes all the pressure off of you.
Right.
The Holy Spirit leads people to Christ. But all we're asked to do is that. There's a song that's called 15. And it talks about it might take 15 times for people to hear about Jesus. It said you may be the third, you may be the 11th. There may be years in between. But what if I'm 15? What if I'm 15? Mm-hmm. So Ben might have been number 1. He might have been number 10. He might have been number 14 in her life. I don't know where she's at with Christ. But if she doesn't know Christ, he might have been number 14. And the very next person that talks to her, Ben might have through the Holy Spirit, might have set her up for the next person that does that. Last night at the restaurant, it wasn't the time to sit down and take 10 or 15 minutes and explain the gospel to this gal. But it was a time to plant a seed, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
And you planted the seed, somebody else might come along and water it, and somebody else will come along and God will do the harvest using that person. So just want to encourage you, wherever you are, just take a moment and just think about the people around you and what they're going through. And I hope this has been helpful to you. Anything else, Ben?
Just to step out in faith. And, a lot of times people put on the "I'm fine" and everything's great. And but there's a lot of people out there that are hurting. And so just something simple as praying for them can really just make them feel special and really just lift them up. So I encourage you, if God's prompting you to do that, then it's just a neat way and a neat opportunity to be able to share His love to that person who's hurting.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Also, I just want to tell you, as we usually do these, I sit down and I write everything out, and that becomes our blog. And then off of that, we do the video, and we have lots of notes and this and that. And about 30 minutes ago, Ben was in our living room on a Saturday morning here, and I said, "Hey, Ben, you want to be in a video with me?" And he never has. And he goes, "Sure, Dad." He didn't know what it was about. And so we came up and just did this off the fly, because this is just, who we are.
Absolutely.
And it's easy to just do that. So, hey, thanks for watching. And if you would like this, if you're on Facebook, and if you're on YouTube, if you would subscribe, that would be helpful. Remember, we also have a blog. It's called keepingthevows.com. If you want to read this or get it in text normally, there you can. And so thanks so much. God bless you. Have a great week.
Bye.